How's it going, everybody? This is Alex Caceres, and you're listening to Story of the Fight.
What is up, Will?
What up?
Welcome, everybody, to Story of the Fight, where we think and talk all things mixed martial arts.
We're thinking, man.
Very cerebral thoughts, dude.
Yeah.
You know? But
Yeah.
Hey, welcome, everybody. This is your first time joining the podcast. Please like, subscribe, hit the notification bell. You can find us on Spotify, Breaker, Podcast Radio, Public, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, anywhere podcasts are found. And you can find us on social media, too, I think.
Yeah, it's at Story of the Fight on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, Reddit, everywhere. Twitch, storyofthefight.com, Facebook.
Yeah, dude. There was actually people chatting on the Story of the Fight chat last night.
There we go.
Which was pretty cool. Yeah, dude, we're getting there using all of the social medias. Last night, we did have a fight companion. So if you don't just like listen to recaps, you can also join us sometimes for fight companions. It's always a lot of fun.
It's always a lot of fun. And, you know, it's like, I guess not everybody likes to do this, but I like to rewatch fights. And if you want to rewatch a fight, you can pull up the fight companion with it and like watch it along, even in hindsight. You know, it doesn't have to be live. It's always kind of fun to get like alternative commentary or like see other people's reactions when crazy stuff happens and stuff like that. So,
dude, that's so much fun. Oh, over 400 comments, right? Yesterday, as we're going through and we're watching, such a blast. And you know, somebody was mentioning we should get a Story of the Fight Discord going for the Story of the Fight community.
Working on it today. I've been working on it, trying to set up like different channels, all that stuff within it. But hopefully, I'll get it done today.
When we started this almost 2 years ago, did you think that we'd have listeners wanting to start a Story of the Fight community?
Yeah, no, not at all.
That's so sick, man. I absolutely love it. But thank you to everybody that joined us. It was a lot of fun. And today we find ourselves in a situation, Will, where we now need to go through and think back as far back as last night about the fights that we witnessed.
Yeah, it's tough to recall, you know. It's so distant.
It's been so long.
But it was a good pay-per-view.
Yeah, you know what? Going into the main card, I was kind of like, you know, I don't know. Like some of the fights were okay, some of the fights were not so good. And then the main card hit. And I feel like it just started building up with every fight in the main card until the last one, which was perfect. So with that being said, let's go and get started.
Yep.
We had Islam Makhachev versus Alexander the Great Volkanovski going for the 155 title, the lightweight title. Volkanovski going up in weight class, right? Makhachev chilling at the same weight class, defending. But you know what? I'll let you kick it off here, Will. What were your thoughts on this fight?
So like with context, right? It's Makhachev is defending his belt against the 145-pound champ. Volkanovski's trying to go up, become a double champ. But there's more than just that, right? Because this is pound for pound number 1 versus pound for pound number 2, which is very significant. The UFC rarely ever does that. And I think it's only happened maybe twice. And it's even arguable that those even counted. I think like DC versus John Jones, but I don't think they were technically pound for pound number 1 and 2 at that time. But this is pound for pound number 1, number 2. So it's not like Islam has nothing to gain. You know what I mean? It's not like, because if he wins, cool, he defended his belt against a featherweight. But he's also potentially taking out pound for pound number 1. So both have greatness on stake, basically, or at stake. And
at their fingertips, some would say.
At their fingertips.
Trying
they're
to make
in
the
Australia.
world their oyster.
Yeah, they're in Australia. So Makhachev's going into enemy territory to defend his belt for the first time. Volkanovski's obviously the smaller man, significantly smaller. I think it was 5'6" to 5'10".
Allegedly.
UFC height is always kind of put your skeptic glasses on, right? They have Kamaru Usman at like 6 foot when he's like shorter than everybody else who's listed as 6 foot. So who knows, really, their measurements are off. But this was going to be one of those things where if Volkanovski can do this, it is one of the single greatest achievements in UFC history. And you might be like, oh, people have gone up in weight class and become double champs. But stylistically, being someone who's 5'6" and the smaller man against one of the best wrestlers in the sport, who also now has a size advantage on you, really difficult. And then so what we got was Volkanovski surprising Makhachev with his wrestling, and Makhachev surprising Volkanovski with his striking. It was it's an all-time classic fight in my opinion. It delivered on the hype, pound for pound number 1 versus 2. It's kind of hard to deliver. I thought it delivered.
Yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed the fight too, man. Makhachev, I think, has shown even before this fight that his striking is better than Khabib's. I know everybody loves to compare Makhachev to Khabib, right?
Mm-hmm.
But going into this, I thought that this is not Volkanovski's, but Makhachev's opportunity to just show how dominant of a champion he'll be able to be. Because Volkanovski really earned my respect, and I know he's been trying to for a long time. But he really earned my respect when he went up against Max Holloway that last time, and he just outclassed him, right?
Yeah.
So I thought, Volkanovski's the real deal, man. He's as real as it gets.
Some would say the realist.
Some would say the pound for pound number 1. So I thought if even though he's a smaller man, if Makhachev's able to come in here and just absolutely dominate Volkanovski throughout the fight, that I think that Makhachev would be compared a lot closer to Khabib, right?
Yeah.
And after the end of the fight, I find myself thinking, like, man, what if Khabib was in there? How would Khabib have handled Volkanovski? Because I think that Makhachev has some ways to go, right? Everybody loves to make that comparison because it's his protege, but I still think that it's not close. Seeing how dominant
him and Khabib
and Khabib, yeah, how dominant Khabib was in seeing Makhachev here in this last fight.
But
I think you said it best. You said Volkanovski made him look human last night.
Yeah. But then it's a matter of how much of that is Makhachev or how much of that is just Volkanovski being legitimately that great. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you said, it would have been interesting to see Khabib versus Volkanovski, but yeah, I don't know. For me, in my opinion, Makhachev's stock doesn't really go down in this fight. It's just Volkanovski continuing to prove that he is pound for pound number 1. And I see people already arguing about that and being like, how could he be pound for pound number 1 when he just lost to Makhachev? It's like, well, that's the thing about pound for pound number 1 is imagine if Volkanovski was even bigger. If they were the same size, skill-wise, who would have won that fight? Probably Volkanovski. And Volkanovski's even talking about how it's not, he didn't lose this fight because of size. Like the what lost him this fight had nothing to do with the size, is what he's saying. But I disagree. I think because of the size, because of the range that Makhachev was able to use, and props to Makhachev for being able to use the range. Not everybody can. We'll talk about that in a later fight. But with that reach disadvantage, with the weight, if he was even bigger, those grappling situations would have been even better for him. But yeah, I think pound for pound number 1, it's still Volkanovski. I mean, his skill set and his fight IQ and his work ethic and his cardio, it's just incredible to watch. It's nuts, dude.
For sure, man. And so I'm excited to see him go back down and defend the featherweight title. Right. I'd be excited to see a rematch with Makhachev to see what kind of adjustments he'd be able to make. Makhachev did a really good job of timing the straight left a few times when Volkanovski was having to blitz in to close that distance. So he did that really nicely. I know he caught him also with a head kick that seemed to wobble Volkanovski a bit. And it was a really interesting, fight in the sense that, like you had mentioned,
shout out Regen saying top of the morning, fellas. Shout out Jake. Great points. Jake. Thank you.
Yeah.
Don't forget to subscribe.
It was really interesting to see Volkanovski get rocked.
Yeah.
And then, we had been talking about maybe at this size, Volkanovski doesn't have the power to be able to take out Makhachev. And then as the round,
and then the fifth
round, he drops him. And I'm like, oh my God. So me personally, I would love to see this fight again. I know that, Will, you are against this rematch more than likely, considering that we don't want anything being held up any longer. Am I right?
In my opinion, I would love to see the fight. In my opinion, if they do a rematch right away, you have to take the 145-pound belt from Volkanovski, and because Yair deserves to get that shot. He's the interim. He has the interim belt now, so his next fight, in my opinion, you should never have to defend the interim belt. That's ridiculous, especially if the other fighter is active. The true champion is active. That can't fly. So
you'd have to strip him.
You'd have to strip him, I think. Regen says Volk should vacate and move up. He proved he's one of the best at lightweight. I mean, maybe, but in my opinion,
to disagree.
In my opinion, what you do is you do the Volkanovski versus Yair. If he beats Yair, perfect. Then you can have another number one contender fight down at featherweight. That's when Volkanovski can then go back up to lightweight. Islam maybe defends his belt against a true lightweight at this point, because now there's questions that need to be answered, in my opinion, with Makhachev. And it's, if a featherweight can have this kind of success against him, let's see him defend it against another lightweight. He hasn't defended his belt against a lightweight. You know, he's the lightweight champ, but he hasn't defended his belt against a lightweight. Regent says number one contender fight against Dustin and then rematch with Islam. Volk versus Dustin would be awesome. That'd be a very fun fight. Islam might just move up. The weight cut is so hard on him. Yeah, that's another narrative going into this, that Islam had a really tough cut. And maybe that had something to do with his performance. But I, in my opinion, Islam's stock for me does not go down in this. His striking was very surprising to me. He did a fantastic job with his striking. He took Volk's back, had his back for a whole round. It's just Volk is that great. You know what I mean? But like I said, Volk is already saying, he rewatched the fight. He said rounds 2, 3, and 5. It feels like he won those 3 rounds. I thought he won round 3 and 5, watching it back. 3 and 5 for sure. Round 2 is a toss-up. I lean Islam, but if someone gives it to Volk, you can give it up. You can give him that round. I wouldn't complain. But I think Makhachev needs to defend his belt against a lightweight. Volk needs to then unify the belt down at featherweight. Then we see where we're at and what we do from there.
McGregor?
No. No.
We're probably going to see that.
I don't think so, timing wise, because that fight's not going to happen until like September.
No, not his next fight. But I think we're going to see it eventually down the road.
Could be. Regent says his stock only goes down for me because he had all the attributes in his favor. Yeah, but man, there's something about Volkanovski. Volkanovski's the best. He's the best. He's the pound for pound number one. If anybody can overcome attributes, it's Volkanovski. You know what I mean? So I don't put too much weight on that against Islam. Jake says, I will also say that Volk's pressure versus Islam's other opponents were a bit different. I could see that too. I think, man, I'll admit when I'm wrong, Ramiro. Remember when they announced this fight, I was pissed. I was like, what are we doing? Islam just got the belt. Have him defend against lightweights.
You're glad we got the fight.
I'm here for it.
You're glad we got the fight, yeah. And, I just want to also give some recognition to Volkanovski for his recovery, man, because he did, again, he got hit hard a few times, but his recovery was so fast. And I think that's a little bit of a difference, too. Like Jake mentions, the pressure that Volk was able to put on Islam compared to his other opponents. He dropped Oliveira. Yeah. Islam did. He hurt Bobby Green.
Yeah.
He hurt all these other fighters where after that, he was able to then just capitalize, ground and pound, get him in some type of submission. But Volkanovski reacted so quickly whenever he was in a bad position. His urgency, as soon as Islam took him down, his ability to use the wizard, right, to be able to post and get up. Dude, it's just such an impressive performance from Volkanovski last night.
He also, at one point in the first round, they didn't credit Islam with a knockdown, but he knocked him down. He dropped him to a knee. Even Volk said in the post-fight press conference, like, that's a knockdown. He knocked me down. But he dropped to a knee and then just stood right back up, started throwing hooks. I mean, his recovery is incredible.
And maybe that's something that Oliveira can take away, because when he was dropped, I don't think he was severely rocked, but he he laid back and said,
Yeah.
you know, come into my guard, because we've seen Oliveira be successful with that in the past.
Oh yeah,
So
definitely.
just something, you know, something to think about there, Oliveira. Now that you're watching the podcast,
Yeah, Regen says if
make
we
a note.
get Figgy Moreno 4 times, we need at least 2 of this fight. I would love to see the fight again. And like you said, though, the difference is you can't give Makhachev an inch, because if you
Nope.
give him an inch, he'll take it and he'll finish you. And Volk didn't give him an inch. Anytime Makhachev had any type of momentum, Volk was right there to stop it.
Yeah.
I mean, just an incredible. It's crazy that the narrative. I'm glad the narrative from a lot of people is how impressive Volkanovski is, because, like you said, he's had a lot of doubters because of those Max Holloway fights. Some people say he
I
lost
was
some of
one of
those
them.
fights. Yeah, and you're not alone. So it's cool to see him get the recognition, because, man, everything you want out of a fighter: fight IQ, cardio, exciting striking,
The
phenomenal
heart.
grappling, the heart, not giving up when it gets tough. Just he's the epitome of he's a complete fighter, man. Jake says,
Yeah.
how Volk framed to set up his strikes. I was wondering why Volk didn't kick his legs in. We saw a glimpse of that in the later rounds. Yeah, I think early in the fight, because Volk does that a lot. He uses leg kicks to open up his combos with his hands, and he also ends his combos with his hands with leg kicks. He does a really good job of that, of catching people at the end of his combos where they're trying to get out of the way of the punches, and then he'll just throw that leg in and catch them kind of in a weird position because they're moving back. But I wonder if early going, before he really felt the grappling of Makhachev, he was worried about throwing that leg kick and worried about it getting caught and taken down. And then later, once he felt the grappling and the wrestling and the strength of Islam, he even said in the corner, he's like, he's not nearly as strong as I thought he was going to be. Maybe that's why he started opening up with the leg kicks later on, because at first he was like, he threw the leg kick. That's what happened with Bobby Green, right? He threw the body kick, and Makhachev was able to catch it and take him down and finish him. So I wonder if he was a little bit more hesitant to throw kicks early on in the fight because of that. And then when he felt the wrestling and he felt that he could have his defensive grappling work against Makhachev, because most people probably don't think that that's going to work. So I think that's probably why it opened up later on.
Jake calling out the check hook that was working for Islam throughout the night as well, which is a solid point.
That looked really, really good, because Volkanovski has to work to get in, and if you can't get in quick and get out, it's much easier to land that check hook, right? Because if you're darting in and out real quick, it's hard to time the check hook on somebody. But because Volkanovski has to cover so much distance to get in, there's a longer window to land the check hook, and Makhachev just did that flawlessly. It's a really good game plan for them to have that check hook for someone like Volkanovski.
You know, and props to Islam too at the end when you had mentioned that he said that he's not the pound for pound number one.
I think he might have changed that later on. I saw a headline saying that now he's the best fighter in the world. But yeah, he said multiple times, and Javier Mendez has said multiple times that he's not the pound for pound number one. And it is pretty cool to see them say that.
Yeah, absolutely.
You have so much people hyping themselves up, and it's cool to see someone be humble.
Humility can go a long way, especially with fans. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely.
All right. You want to move on to the co-main event?
Yeah. Props to both those guys, though. Legendary fight.
Absolutely. And props to the second champion, Mexican-born champion, Yair Rodriguez, who went in last night and took out Mr. Josh Emmett from Team Alpha Male. The last of the survivors from Team Alpha Male. Oh, dude, they might be actually. Might be listening to some jams, yeah. Hey, that's a really good observation. I really think those are either Razor glasses or Bose glasses, one or the other. Oh no, dude, don't do that. Oh boy.
Are they the same?
Yeah, I think they're the same.
The headphones? I think they're the same.
Yeah, they might be. Hey, look at you, dude. You wear the same glasses as the interim champ.
Yeah.
You're like, I don't know how far that goes, but so Yair Rodriguez, I was really excited going into this fight. Again, Yair, another person that had a lot of doubters that started showing up recently with some fantastic fights, fantastic finishes. You talked about the last second win against Korean Zombie. Yeah. You know, his fight against Max Holloway, which he lost, but showed everybody that he's a true contender. So going into this, what was it, minus 300 that we said that Yair was?
Yeah.
Or something like that. I don't remember exactly, but I thought for sure this is his opportunity to walk away with the interim title.
Yeah, I mean, like we said in the live stream last night when we were watching the fights before this, it's like, hey, shout out Randy. Don't forget to like, subscribe, all that stuff. But going
What
into
up,
this
Randy?
fight, it was like, this is an opponent stylistically that Yair can really style on, right? Josh Emmett, no disrespect, he's very good at what he does, but it is very one-dimensional with very standard footwork, trying to line up the overhand right, just spamming that overhand right, hopefully getting some takedowns in there in the meantime, but really just looking for that overhand right. And someone like that, Yair, can dance around and really counter on, and because it's coming, So
Yeah,
going into it, it was like, it's kind of a mismatch style wise, you know what I mean? But
yeah.
props to Emmett.
You
He
know
hurt him.
what's so funny though is because we're talking about the. Hey, Randy, thanks, man. Love you, man. We're like, yeah, he's always super light on his feet, right?
Yeah.
And Emmett is that guy that kind of like just stomps forward and drags that back foot, just waiting for that right to land. And they both came out and they were both light on their feet. And I was like, here's a new Josh Emmett. Here we go.
Yeah.
And then as soon as they close the distance, he starts dragging that back foot again. I was like, oh, nope, never mind.
There we go.
And this is where Yair starts kind of picking him apart, right?
Yeah. Yeah, Randy says Volk got robbed. Emmett's a beast. Yeah, the Volk fight was very close. Emmett is a beast, man. One thing that I'm not seeing anybody talk about is the fact that Josh Emmett hurt Yair in this fight a couple times.
He did.
Hurt him bad with that right hand. I think it was the first round or second round, maybe. No, first round.
I know he did catch him in the first round. He caught him in both rounds.
Yeah, but man, not a lot of people can take that right hand from Josh Emmett when it lands clean like that. And Yair took it and then just kept spamming body kicks.
Did you hear the post-fight interview from Yair?
No, I didn't.
No. So he talks about the fact that he knows the right hand's coming.
Mm-hmm.
They talked about it at camp over and over and over again.
It's all
but when he's in the fight, he said, it was so fast. He's so fast with that right hand. I didn't see it coming a few times. And
Dang.
he said that he got caught on one, and he said, I went out for a second. He straight up said, I was out for a second. He got cracked, dude. And I think that's the one where he kind of like started backpedaling really fast, got up against the cage, and he looked a little wobbly. But man, he definitely got caught. So props to Yair for weathering the small storm, but a storm nonetheless.
Yeah, Jake says Emmett has that factor, but agreed he needed more to win against Yair. Randy says he's old. He needed that. Yeah, it's when you have stylistically, Yair wants a one-dimensional opponent who isn't going to have a ton of movement, that he can be the have the edge in movement and kind of dance around, land the kicks on the outside, land the pop shots. And Josh Emmett is that type of fighter that works really well against. And to Emmett's credit, he did land the right hand. I did not expect him to land it on Yair. But the fact of the matter is, outside of that right hand and the top control he gained from it, the rest of this fight was, body kicks, leg kicks, pop shots coming off the kicks, question mark kicks, flying knee. It was really a showcase for Yair. And you see that because, you look at everybody talking about it. Jake saying Yair timed a lot of the shots. The narrative that I'm seeing from a lot of people on this fight, that no one's mentioning the fact that Emmett caught him. They're all talking about how impressive Yair looked. And that's what happens stylistically when you match some of these guys up, But props to Yair. I did not pick Yair by triangle choke. I didn't expect that.
Everybody I thought did, Yeah.
But
yeah, I thought Yair, you mentioned that liver kick, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he mentioned in his post-fight interview as well, where he said as soon as that first liver kick landed, I saw that it hurt him.
Yeah.
It really didn't have an answer. Why not keep on going back to the well with that? Last night, just one more thing before I forget. Last night, when we were in the middle of the fight companion, I was trying to find the right words for it, right? Where I was like, there's a disadvantage in skill set. And then you said that, there's a disadvantage in weapons. The amount of weapons that Yair Rodriguez has to pull from versus Josh Emmett, there's a big disadvantage there. And I think we saw that last night.
Yeah, Josh Emmett really has an overhand right. He'll land the left hook after the overhand right if he's in close, if he misses with the right hook. But I mean, Yair's got the outside leg kick. He's got the front kick to the body. He's got the question mark kick. He's got spinning kicks. He's got the flying.
And he's got hands too, though.
He's got hands. He's got good punches, good straight punches. He doesn't loop his punches. So it's an uphill battle for Emmett, and he almost got it. He almost got it with that right hand, but Yair is also elite. So he took it and went back to his corner, and then came out there, spammed the body kick again because, like Jake says, so Emmett dips down to that side because that's how you load up that overhand. So he's constantly doing that. So he's constantly moving into that body kick. And we talked about it. That body kick will open up the high kick. And Emmett's going to lean right into that high kick also. He threw it a couple times, but I think because he was having so much success with the body kick, he was like, I'm just going to keep throwing this body kick and just hurt this guy to the body. It was a fantastic performance by Yair.
And Randy pointing out that the right hand makes it 50-50. And the thing
100%.
is that right hand is an equalizer.
Yep.
No matter what skill sets you bring in, that right hand has so much power that it could be an equalizer. Look, Emmett went into this 18-2.
Yeah.
18-2.
As a guy with overhand, a shuffling overhand, pretty damn good.
And that's what I was going to say is I'm sure it's not the first time that he's faced somebody that has more weapons in his skill set than he does. But that equalizer, man, reminds me very much of Deontay Wilder. You know?
Yair could be styling on you for 5 rounds, but you land that one shot with that overhand right that he has it is devastating, man. He's got a whole highlight reel of flatlining people with that same right hand. And everybody knows, like you said, everybody knows it's coming. Yair's camp knew it was coming. They trained for it the entire camp, but it's different when you're in there with it because he does throw it really, really well. Extremely well.
Props to Emmett, falling 18-3 now. Good showing though. Yair Rodriguez. We continue seeing the skill set improve. We continue seeing. I think the mental space improve. He talked about how he's had to battle a lot of demons getting up to this point. He's been doing this for 10 years, and now he feels like he's in a really good place. And I think that we have yet to see the best of Yair. We'll see.
I mean, dude, to triangle Josh Emmett like that. Josh Emmett is no slouch on top. He's very good top game. So, and you don't think of Yair, and you don't think of Yair as a jiu-jitsu guy, you think of him as like a taekwondo kickboxer, but here he is throwing up triangles against an alpha male guy. Like, that's crazy. So,
and he did a beautiful job too, man. As soon as he got it up there, he reached for the ankle, he locks it in, and you see him kind of use his shoulders to kind of get a little bit of a better angle to move over to his left. And that was all she wrote, man. Yeah,
it was tight. I'm very excited. As much as I loved the matchup between Volkanovski and Makhachev, I am very excited for Yair versus Volkanovski. Really, really excited.
Yair versus Volkanovski. Are you more excited for that or the possible merch that we're going to be launching here pretty soon? That shirt looks sick, man.
Oh, this shirt? Yeah,
cool, dude. Huh? For sure. Hey. All right. You want to go and move on, man? Because we're 30 minutes in.
And we've talked about 2 fights.
Yeah. I knew this was going to happen with the first couple fights because they're so good, dude. There's so much to talk about. But up next, we had Jack Della Maddalena, one of the best names.
Shout out, Jake. Dude. The merch is coming soon, Jake. It's coming soon.
It's coming soon, for sure. But Jack Della Maddalena versus
we need free shirts. Hey, whoa.
Randy. Shout out, Randy, man. But so
shout
Jack
out,
Della
Randy
Maddalena, we had talked about. I believe he was on a 13-fight win streak going into this one.
Yeah,
now 14-fight win streak.
I mean, going into this, like, what did I say? I said, okay, Randy Brown is very good at fighting long. He's really good at fighting long. He uses his attributes, as Regen would say, right? He uses his range really, really well. The problem, though, is he doesn't really adjust in the close range. He would rather get out of there when it gets close. Instead of throwing knees, throwing elbows, things like that, he would rather move out. And that's what Jack Della needs to do, right? He needs to get in, pass the range, and do infighting, right? So the whole first minute is Randy Brown lighting him up with jabs, hooks, leg kicks, kicks to the body, just touching him from the outside. Jack Della can't get through. And what does Jack Della see? He says, okay, I need to get past this and fight. What happens when I do get past it? He gets past it a couple times. What does Randy Brown do? circles away towards the power
Retreating.
hand. Yeah,
Yes.
he doesn't want to fight in, but he needs to. You can't keep doing that against someone who has really good striking footwork like Jack Della. So what happens? Eventually, Jack Della says, cool, he's exiting on that side. Every time I get close and push past his range, he's going to circle out towards my right hook. Awesome. I'll just follow him a couple times, make him feel comfortable doing that. Then I'll cut him off. So he cuts him off the last time, and I think he doubled up on the right hook and just completely flatlines him. I mean, has him on skates.
Really, if you're Randy Brown and you're as long as Randy Brown, one big step back can really help you avoid a lot, right? Because he's very lengthy.
Yeah.
And that's fine when you don't have a fence or a cage around you where eventually you're going to run out of foot space and you're going to run into a fence. Because guess what? You're going to take a big step thinking you're going to get out of the range of that right hook. You're going to hit a fence, and then you're like, oh, boy. So you try to circle out still within close distance, and you get met with that right, you know?
Yeah, and Jack Della did a great job of just making Randy Brown feel comfortable exiting that way. He pushed him up against the fence, I think 3 times before the finish. So Randy probably felt safe exiting like that. Oh, he's just going to follow me. He's not going to cut me off, and he's going to keep circling around the fence. And then Jack Della was like, cool, that's what you do? That's how you exit? You don't want to meet me in the middle and throw a knee to my body or drop some elbows on me? Cool, I'll just cut it off this next time. And then just finished him. Got Jack Della by sub. Did you guess that?
Yeah, I had Della by sub, and I had Yair by triangle choke as well.
Yeah, definitely.
No,
but yeah, it was fantastic performance by
another
Jack.
great performance by Jack Maddalena. Again, goes up to 14-12 at 170. 14-2 at 170 in the welterweight division. Who do you pin him up against next?
I say he skips the line and goes straight to Vicente Luque.
Ooh, for real?
That's the fight. That's the fight I want to see. Vicente's at number 9,
a banger,
coming off a couple losses, right?
That's a banger.
Yeah, so he beats Chiesa, he loses to Bilal Muhammad, and then he loses to Jeff Neal. Luque versus Jack Della. I need it.
You're just trying to get Luque out of
That's
there.
a dogfight. No. It's just a dogfight. I need to see it. I don't care who wins.
Regen says I love it.
That's the fight, man. Because, he needs to go to the top 15, right? Do you want to see Jack Della versus the Leech? Do you want to see him versus Pereira?
Ooh, Randy says Shavkat Rachmanov.
How dare you? How dare you? Shavkat doesn't need to fight down. Shavkat needs to fight up. No need for Shavkat to fight down.
Let's not shoot down this rising star right now, you know?
Yeah, Jake says I'd like to see him fight Bilal too. It's an interesting matchup, but Bilal deserves also to fight up. He's ranked number 4 coming off a win. Jack Della versus Vicente Luque. I need it.
Yeah, for sure. All right. Ready? Next one?
Regis says we're trying to blind this guy. Yeah, we're going to go to the next one.
All right. Justin Tafa versus Parker Porter. A couple of big boys just coming in here ready to swing and bang, man.
Swinging heavy meat. You know what I mean?
Wait, what?
Swinging heavy meat. These 2 big old boys. Parker Porter just running in with his chin up. Just running straight in him. And Tafa just sitting back, trying to make reads, saying, how do I catch this guy as he comes in? He came in the same way, I think, 3 times in a row. And the last time, Tafa just steps back, hits him with the left, hits him with the right as he's falling, and just a heavyweight walk-off.
Parker Porter looking like a sprinter at the finish line. You know how they always like just spread out straight forward to try to – yeah, dude. Now, the thing with Porter, going into this, we mentioned that he's a high-output guy. He tries to make his opponent tired. Surprisingly, he has really good cardio for his size. He loves to put on the pressure. And Justin Tafa, somebody that I don't know how his cardio is because we really haven't seen him pushed like that with his cardio, but he's somebody that either way doesn't have very much movement. He's okay to sit back and just wait to find the counter. And look at this picture is awesome.
Yeah.
His little eyes are closed right there. Yeah, Tafa's face. But it was just perfect timing for that that left that caught Porter right on the chin. Then he followed up with that little right as Porter was going down, and
little right,
little right, dude. It was a little baby one, you know. But that was a fast fight.
Yeah, his brother was supposed to fight on the card, make his UFC debut. He was supposed to fight Austin Lane. Lane had to withdraw, and then he was supposed to fight Waldo Cortez Acosta and then Tafa had to pull out, which would have been cool to see the brothers fight for his debut too. I think they both probably would have won their fights. I don't know if you saw Junior Tafa's last fight in Ryzen, but it was fucking awesome. He's very promising. Yeah, very promising.
Dude. We'll have to check that out.
Yeah.
All right, we also had Jimmy Crute versus Alonzo Menifield.
Yeah,
a bit of a shit show here, huh?
A little bit of a sloppy banger.
But a banger nonetheless. Alonzo Menifield seemed to be in some trouble in that first round, but like Menifield did what he usually does, and he landed a big shot on Crute, had Crute on skates. Then it kind of looked like Crute blew his wad a little early there.
Yeah.
And then he seemed exhausted.
Yeah,
like that second round.
Menifield beat the fuck out of him in that second round. Props to Crute for withstanding that, man. He took a beat down in that second round.
So there's a series of pictures, and I think Rich has them here, where there's this one where Alonzo's coming in and blitzing in with some shots. He misses the first shot, and Crute sticks his tongue out as he's moving back. There it is right there.
Yeah.
And then the very next shot, in the exact same sequence.
Oh, jeez.
Menifield lands that massive left. But
that's brutal, man.
Yeah,
that's
man.
brutal.
That was rough.
Yeah,
but
yeah, I had and props to Crute. Crute took that third round, in my opinion. He came back. He lost the first 2 rounds. Definitely lost the second round. Came back and won the third round. And then not only did he win the third round, but because Menifield had one of the most egregious cage grabs I've seen in a while, and he lost a point, we ended up with a draw. We ended up with a draw.
Jake says,
how the turntables.
Absolutely. 100%. But it was kind of fun while it lasted. And the thing is, in that first, I believe it was the very first round, where there was that fence grab. And again, during the fight companion, I don't have the volume up on the fight, so I don't know if there was a verbal warning that was issued by Goddard.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
But both of them were like, a little bit of a fence grab there, huh? And another little one. And then I don't know if there wasn't any type of verbal warning or anything to where he thought like, oh, dude, he's letting us just get away with this. And he's straight like, whew, like this.
As he's getting pulled down, he's like, no, I'm not. Pulls himself back up.
So props to Goddard for taking that point. Absolutely should have been taken. I agree with it 100%.
Yeah, and it's interesting.
Randy, my bad. Maybe I should have said he emptied the gas tank.
Yeah.
He emptied the gas tank for sure.
But there's another thing about the scoring, right? Because in other organizations, even with that point deduction, this is still a Menifield win, right? Like because of just if you score the fight as a whole, I mean, Menifield beat the brakes off of Jimmy Crute. But Jimmy Crute played the game. He edged out a draw here, and I mean, he deserves it, honestly, because that third round was pretty impressive. The third round he put up after the beatdown that he did take in the first 2 rounds. Did not expect him to win the third round.
No, for sure. Shout out, Randy. All right. Now we're gonna skip some fights here for the sake of time.
Yeah, we're already at 40 minutes, so
yes. So up next we'll cover Josh Culibao versus Melsik Baghdasaryan.
Yeah, so the Menifield fight was a little dirty, right, with the fence grabs, but Melsik in this fight, holy smokes,
It started off dirty in the face-offs.
Yeah,
I mean, look at this.
Also, what happened? Remember, was it Jeremy Stevens and Jakar Close that he pushed him at the weigh-in face-off, and then he like did something to his collarbone, so he had to pull out of the fight. And then they were like, after that, if you touch your opponent at the weigh-ins, your fight's canceled. And then they're like, just kidding, because this is way worse.
For sure,
way worse. So yeah, Culibao. This was a sick fight, man. I was really rooting for Culibao in this fight. I just like his style. Melsik is very fun to watch as well. His striking is really, really good. Threw that turning sidekick right to the dick of Culibao. That was brutal. Culibao had to take like 3 minutes because, I mean, he ate the full turning sidekick right to the cup.
Now, let me ask you this. And you know what? Regen has a fight under his belt as well, right? Mm-hmm. But how much pressure do you think is on these fighters to not take the full 5 minutes or to not take the full allotted time for this? Because, dude, that was bad, man.
It was
Like,
really bad.
they showed that slow motion replay, and it was the heel right into the nuts,
Yeah.
dude.
Oh,
Right into it. And you could just see his reaction right away. And I mean, to whoever that's happened to, maybe not at that level, you know that there's that pain at the bottom of your stomach. You feel like you're going to throw up, so it looked bad, man. And then even after the end of the first round, he said, "I can't breathe." And they're like, "Your nose?" He's like, "No, the throwing shot."
Nut shot. Yeah.
And so I wonder just how much pressure these fighters feel to like show up like tough guys and be like, "Well, I'm not going to take the full 5 minutes because I hear the crowd booing. I hear this. I hear that."
Especially with that crazy Australian crowd, like you want to get back to the action. Regent says it's so much pressure. I'm sure you get used to it. Yeah, that's a good point too. You probably do.
After a certain amount of fights, you're probably like, "Hey, my nuts, guys. All right, hold on. I'll use the whole 5 minutes if I have to."
Yeah. So in the first round, he gets that the nut shot. That was nasty. And he was having a hard time getting in on Melsik. Melsik was landing really well on him. I'm trying to pull up the there it is. So yeah, all 3 judges gave that first round to Melsik. Second round comes out. There's a moment where they clinch. I don't remember if it was over under or what the clinch was, but they clinch and Melsik's just like, bah! Just straight headbutts him in the face. Hard. Like a legit headbutt. Culibao looks over at the ref and he's like, "Bro, what the hell was that?" And they're like, "Keep fighting. Keep fighting." It's like, dude, that's crazy. So then they have that stumble, right, where Culibao catches him as Melsik's throwing a kick and he falls back. I don't know if he was like knocked down so much as he was off balance, but because he fell, Culibao just jumps on him, takes his back, gets the choke in before he even has the hooks in. Melsik has to fight the hands immediately because it's under the chin, so then he gets the hooks in. Super cool. Chokes him out, and then he holds it on for a little bit longer. Did you catch that?
Yeah, and then he shoves him off after he gets off, like, "Get off me, dude."
Grab me by the throat at the weigh-in, spinning or turning sidekick to my dick, and then a straight headbutt in the clinch. I'm going to hold this choke a little bit longer. I thought that was fucking sick, honestly.
I'm sure that it felt a little better than just a regular win for Culibao.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Regent says amateur, you can't, in amateur fighting, you can't elbow to the ground. I got mounted and rushed thinking about getting elbowed and gave up position. Yeah, it's got to be interesting, right? Because it's like everybody knows the rules, but as soon as you throw in a rule like that you can't do something that you're so used to, it's probably hard to, in the moment, think like, "Oh, I can't get elbowed here." It's got to be interesting. It's got to be tough, I should say. But yeah, Culibao, very impressive win in front of the home crowd. I thought that was fucking sick.
Yeah, man.
And some people might complain about holding the choke a little bit longer. It's not an armbar. You know what I mean? It's not a leg lock. Worst case scenario, he goes out. That's worst case scenario. It's not the end of the world. But he tapped for a while. He was tapping for a while before he let go.
Yeah, but also,
I thought it was well deserved.
Again, what was worse? The couple extra seconds of him holding on, or a
straight headbutt
Baghdasaryan, straight headbutt to the clinch, or just straight going for the choke during a face-off. Yeah. Like, what's worse?
Yeah.
One does less damage than others. I don't know.
Yeah.
All right.
But I was all for it, man. I'm a fan of Culibao. He's sick.
I didn't want to give some quick props to Clayton Rodriguez from the previous fight. If y'all didn't have a chance to see Rodriguez versus Ross, go back and watch that fight. Rodriguez looks like the real deal, man. Fast hands. Fast hands. Real quick. Yeah,
very fast hands.
59 seconds that first round. Catches Ross with the shot, and then after he sees that Ross is a little hurt up against the cage, he just comes in with a like, dude, rapid.
Well, what's weird is the replays never even showed the body kick that started the combo, right? Because he kicked him to the body and hurt him, and that's what made him step back. And I was waiting for the body kick replay; they never even showed it. And I was like, damn it, because it was so clean.
The hand speed, so impressive. I'm telling you,
it's flyweight, man.
They're like, we could show him the kick. Or we could just show them this amazing hand speed in the replay.
This 10-punch combo.
Yeah, and then they put it in slow motion, and it looked like he was going regular speed. Because he's so fast.
Seriously. Yeah.
All right. What was the next one we're going to cover? Loma Lookboonmee versus Elise.
Yeah, dude. Lookboonmee is always fun to watch. I think she's must-watch TV. The UFC doesn't really have a lot of like Thai-style fighters. It's kind of a bummer because they're so fun to watch. But I mean, she had her debut in 2019. She's now had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 fights since then. She's only lost 2. She's 5-2 in the UFC so far, and she got a submission win. I mean, this fight was so impressive to me because
My
that first round,
parlay of
yeah,
Lookboonmee, Jack Della, Maddalena, and Yair winning by submission all hit.
yeah. I mean, going into this, I was like, all right, Elise Reed is going to have to take her down. She's going to have to, and then she did in that first round. Lookboonmee was doing a good job. Hey, shout out Jake. She's been doing good work with the Hickman brothers. Bang Tao. Come on, the UFC needs more of this. It's just so exciting. It's so entertaining. You watch her throw body kicks. You watch her throw the elbows in the clinch. You watch her throw the knees.
Hey,
I need more.
If I were to tell you that Reed is Zuckerberg's long lost sister, would you believe me?
Yeah, 100%. 100%.
Okay, just I was making sure I wasn't just seeing things.
Yeah, but so that first round, Lookboonmee is doing a good job striking. She takes her down. I was like, whoa, okay. Then she gets reversed, and then Elise Reed wins the round. All 3 judges gave it to Elise Reed because of the ground game. She did a great job on the ground, but Lookboonmee busted her open. I mean, her nose was shattered. I mean, just pouring blood.
Dripping.
Then the second round starts, and immediately Lookboonmee's like, I don't care that you swept me. I don't care about the reversal. I don't care that you just won the round because I took you down. I'm taking you down again. And she hits a takedown that looked so good and just immediately attacks her. I did not expect that. It was so impressive. I was sitting on the couch watching it, just like, oh, because watching it by myself, I got so hyped because the fact that she was able to just take someone down, cut through them, and choke her, and probably because Elise Reed wasn't expecting any of that. But
yeah,
I mean, it just shows that she's developing. You know, there's a lot of Thai fighters who struggle making the switch to MMA because of the grappling. But now she's taking people down. She 2 takedowns in this fight, and then a rear naked choke. I mean, just so exciting. Jake says it's odd. Ty's getting into MMA. Really want the submission. Yeah, that's another thing. Stamp Fairtex. You know, Stamp Fairtex comes out in that in the Grand Prix against Ritu Fagat, and Ritu Fagat's a wrestler, and you're like, oh, it's a tough matchup for Stamp. You know, she's a Thai fighter, and then Ritu takes her down, and then I think she hits the triangle, switches to an armbar. I think something like that. Stamp going for submissions. Lookboonmee going for submissions. Wonder Girl's another one. It's sick, dude. There's a new wave of Thai fighters making the transition successfully into MMA, and it's exciting. I'm all for it.
I'm all for it. We all know you have a soft spot in your heart for all Thai fighters, Will.
It's the most exciting stand-up style. I mean, you watch some of these Thai fights, and it's just insane. So the fact that now there's transitioned to MMA successfully and adding legit submission threats on top of the most exciting striking style, I mean, why wouldn't anybody want more of that? It's so good.
Love it. All right, man. I think those are all the fights we're going to cover. So all we have left right now would be the moment of silence and monies, right? Bonuses.
Moment of silence. Yeah, we can start with moment of silence. It's a long list for this Australia card.
R.I.P.
Yeah, we got Robert Whittaker versus Paulo Costa because Dana doesn't want to pay the man. Imagine getting paid $70,000 to fight Robert Whittaker. Fuck out of here. Hell no.
I'm sure no
way I'm taking that fight.
His secret juice costs a lot more than that 70,000. So
yeah. Tyson Pedro was supposed to fight Zhang originally. Zhang withdrew, and Tyson Pedro instead got Bukowskis. That was a decent fight. Kai Kara France was supposed to fight Alex Perez. Kai Kara France, I think he broke his hand or something like that. He had some kind of injury. He had to pull out. That would have been awesome. Hawk Brass versus Malarkey would have been great. Malarkey then takes on the undefeated Prado in his UFC debut and kind of styled on him, showed him that there's levels to this. Tuhugov was supposed to originally fight Joel Alvarez. Alvarez withdrew, and then it's like he passed his weight issues to Tuhugov because then Tuhugov missed weight. Normally it's Alvarez missing weight. Junior Tafa, like I said, was supposed to fight Austin Lane. Lane withdrew. Then he's supposed to fight Acosta, and then Tafa withdrew. Damn it, because I'm telling you, Junior Tafa is someone to look out for. I'm excited for his when he finally gets his UFC debut. It's going to be interesting because he's a better version of his brother. And I mean that with no disrespect because I actually really like both Tafa guys, but he's better.
Nice. All right. And then we had bonuses.
Yair got the bonus for the triangle. Yeah. Yair got the bonus for the triangle. Jack Della got the bonus for the getting Randy Brown on skates to get the rear naked choke. And then obviously Volkanovski versus Makhachev got fight of the night. Makes sense.
Well, there you go. There you go. It was a fun night of fights. So I think what made it so fun as well was that we had the fight companion going.
Oh yeah,
I'm telling you, man. There was a lot of people that joined us last night for the fight companion. It was a lot of fun. And then also our producer, the show's produced by Richard Bustos, Richard Casual over here. He actually watched a fight last night. Rich.
No, I can't say I watched the fight, but I will full disclosure say I showed up in the 4th round when Volk was getting locked up by Makhachev, but he started, Makhachev tried to get the takedown, and Volk was like trying to keep his space, keep his standing up, getting away from him as far as he could, like I'm doing right now, and it was cool. It was really cool.
But did you see the 5th round?
That's on the 5th round. And he starts like hitting him like this. He's like sideways, and then he's just hitting Makhachev in the face, but he's missing, but he's getting him. That was pretty tight. And then he started landing some real shots. I was like, cool. If the whole fight's been like this, I think he's gonna win. But the whole fight wasn't like that, I guess. So I just commented whack, and that was the end of that. So
that was the end of that.
There we go.
There
Our producer, Richard Casual, coming through with the analysis. I love it. So for everybody that doesn't know, Rich is actually a big Volkanovski fan. He might be the only fighter he can name in all of the UFC.
No, he's got a couple names on his belt, but yeah, I don't know what it is. Maybe he just sees the greatness, right? Because I think the first time he saw Volkanovski fight, he just locked onto him. He's like, "This is my guy."
Well, it was the one where he survived the standing guillotine from Moreno.
Ortega.
Remember?
Ryan Ortega.
Sorry. Yeah, Ortega, yeah. And then he slipped out because he's bald, but it was tight.
The choke was tight, and he got out. Classic.
Oh, man. Classic, Rich. But, yeah, hey, thank you, everybody, for joining us. Regen, Randy, Jake. Did I miss anybody?
I don't think we had anybody else in here.
Yeah.
But shout out everybody. It was a fun episode.
Brian, right? Yesterday we had who else? HLB Comer joining us. We had DL,
Keith, Nate.
Shout out to Rich joined us to the chat. But there was a lot of folks that have been joining us the last couple of days. So thank you all. Love you all. Appreciate all the support.
Randy says, do you guys do this a lot? Every Sunday. Every damn Sunday.
Unless there's some kids sports going on. Your boy's wearing the Puma cheer shirt right now because my daughter has a cheer competition right after this. And I will be at this cheer competition for the next 7.5 hours, gentlemen. 7.5 hours.
That's a full dad shift,
Oh, dude, overtime. You know what I mean? But I love it. And again, it's been a lot of fun the last couple of days. Please like, subscribe, hit the notification bell. It goes a long way. I'm sure y'all have friends that love mixed martial arts as well. Have them join in also because when we have, listeners have their friends hop in as well onto the live chat, it makes it so much more hilarious.
Super fun. And Jake, we have a Discord that we use privately right now to send each other links and get the streams going and stuff like that. So I'm in the process of building it for fans as well. So we are close to having a Discord. And as soon as we do, we'll have the link up on if you go to storythefight.com, you'll see all our links. It'll be up there eventually. I'm hoping maybe I'll get it done today. So we're getting there. Thanks you guys for joining us. And definitely subscribe because it's way more fun when there's people in the chat.
Oh, it's a blast. It's a blast. And Spotify, Breaker, Podcast, Radio Public, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Anchor FM, anywhere podcasts are found. Then I know Will mentioned some of the social media, which was...
Yeah, Instagram, Twitter. It's at Story the Fight everywhere. Go to storythefight.com. It'll have all our socials on there. It's everywhere.
Real, if you can't find us, you're just not trying hard enough because it's literally Story the Fight everywhere.
Yeah. Shout out Jens Pulver, UFC Hall of Fame, the legend.
Hey, and on that note, thanks everybody else for joining us for another episode of Story of the Fight.